So this might be, weirdly enough, the most feminist movie we've done for... It's just saying a lot. Hello and welcome to the Skiffy Fanny Show's Torture Cinema!
They hit the towers.
One day, you will come to Moscow and you will see a clean subway.
So, we got a 9/11 joke, and then a well-crafted line from the movie.
I think mine was funny. That's all that matters.
I think at this point you're allowed to make the joke. I think.
I would. Yeah, I think so.
Although it is
I was
kind
alive
of
when it
weird.
happened.
It is
I was
weird,
alive when
though.
it happened.
Like
I
This-
literally
anytime you-
specified when I messaged you. I said
Yeah.
it would be so wrong,
well, but like
and you said
no.
do it.
But here's the weird thing: like when you watch old movies, you've kind of forget that the New York skyline was different because it's been the way it is now for 20-something years. And then you
23.
go see these movies and you're like, oh, that's the Twin Towers.
I literally
Those-
did a double
Those
take.
are gone.
And I like rewound and watched it again and then Googled it to make sure I'd seen what I saw. A asteroid splinter hit the Twin Towers in a movie made in 1979.
In a weird way, it does make a suggestion of, symbolically, those two buildings, I mean, really do have significant value. So it makes sense why somebody would choose
Yeah,
those
like they were a
buildings.
major part of the skyline and they, had
Yeah.
a ton of influence financially. Like it was a huge thing. But also now it's kind of a joke, which is terrible.
But that's how
but
people
also-
deal with these things sometimes.
That's how you deal
they
with-
make jokes.
yeah.
I mean,
You deal with
usually,
tragedy with
there's
humor.
maybe a line, but
Yeah. But it hit the towers, and again, I had to do a double take. And like, did I really just see what I saw?
Yes, you
Yes, in fact, I did. And apparently, modern screenings took that out of the film.
Really?
Who's having modern
Yeah.
screenings of... Oh,
Of Meteor.
It was probably in the early 2000s.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, you know what we could screen.
Well, like Sean Connery film festivals, probably.
Nobody is putting this on at a Sean Connery film festival.
You don't know
Are
that.
You fucking kidding
Have
me?
you been?
No,
You don't know
hold
that.
on. Let's go over Sean Connery's oeuvre if we could, because
This was
surely,
peak Sean
so we
Connery.
haven't
like,
actually
did they just?
said, like,
No,
the title of the movie and stuff like that?
right.
it's Meteor.
1979.
1979.
I'm sorry, it's so silly. Like, did they just run it for 15 years in a row and they're like, ah, man, we're running out of shit to show? Like, because the man was in a lot of movies and he was in good movies.
I think we need to say our
first off,
names, too.
We should probably do the yeah.
We have a lot of things to do, Trish. Trish just gonna try
I'm sorry.
desperately to keep us on track. Okay.
You put me on a podcast and I make it go off the rails every
I'm
time.
Sean.
I'm Trish.
I'm
Yay.
Becca.
And obviously, on this, our live Torture Cinema show, we'll discuss the 1979 stars-studded stellar flop, Meteor, directed by
Yeah.
Ronald Neame? Ronald Neame. Sure. And
Neame.
written by Stanley Mann and Edmund H. North. It stars Sean Connery, not in orange diaper today, Natalie Wood, Carl Malden, Martin Landau, a surprisingly young and old at the same time Martin Landau, I just will note, Trevor Martin, Henry Fonda, near the end of his life, alas, Brian Keith, and Richard Dysart.
Don't look at me.
No.
I didn't actually look at the IMDb for this. Was there any good trivia?
Well, I mean, I think the more important thing is you're technically next in the script.
Oh, am I? I'm so sorry. Hello. This movie was chosen by our Patreon supporters based on a poll of global disaster films, a theme we picked live while discussing last month's Tommyknockers torture. Meteor has an IMDb rating of 5 out of 10 and holds a critical approval rating of 5%, an audience score of 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It meets our standards.
It does. And like, we'll get into this later. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever watched, but it definitely wasn't the best.
Yeah. So in the script, Daniel has written this handful of sentences Daniel wishes me to say, and they are as
Say it.
follows. I, for one, loved every minute of it. Meteor certainly has a large impact on my life, and I'm going to purchase a used copy of the official Marvel Comics adaptation of this fine film to enjoy for years to come. I can't tell if that's meant to be me or Daniel, because Daniel knows there's an adaptation, apparently. So
There's an I knew there was a spin-off TV show or whatever.
there's a spin-off
But it wasn't really a
TV show.
It wasn't. It's not like a spin-off, but it used like the same premise.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
Asteroid, or it's a TV movie.
I mean, TV movie I can
I mean-
see. Series, boy, it would be pretty dull if they stretched it out into a series. And I guess the Meteor actually hits.
They could have shaved over half an hour off of this movie, and I would have
easy,
been fine
yeah.
with it.
Anyway, as always,
Whoa, guys, whoa.
please share your comments with us
Nice.
about this and past episodes at skiffyandfanny.com/listener suggestions. Join us on Discord, and if you are able to become a Patreon supporter. If you're live with us today, which that would be our Twitch chat, hello Twitch chat, feel free to throw thoughts and questions our way in the chat.
Or, I mean, you could send them by balloon. We just might not get them.
Yeah, it'll take a while.
No. Okay. So, let's get to what we're drinking. Because, as is required in the Skiffy Fantasy bylaws, you must have a beverage of some kind. And so we will get to that in just a second. But just please remember, if you are imbibing the Devil's Nectar alcohol, please note that you should obviously drink responsibly. Please don't drive if you're intoxicated. Do not overindulge. If you have an alcohol problem, please contact somebody who can help you with that. Take care of yourselves. Don't do anything too bad. Alcohol is not required for the Skiffy Fantasy show. Some people imbibe, some do not, and that's perfectly fine. We have teetotalers and non-teetotalers. It's all welcome. But either way, if you do any dumb shit, I'm going to be mad. Stop it.
Uh-oh.
No, Becca, you're fine. I know you're going to stay home after you've had your, like, weird orange Jameson or whatever you're drinking.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
It's delicious.
So, Trish, what are you imbibing today?
Well, I'm not drinking that filthy tunnel mud water, that's for sure. I'm drinking the good stuff
Tunnel mud.
from the movie.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if that got in your mouth? Oh.
I was reading on IMDb about how they all the cast had to wear cotton earplugs and have their eyes rinsed out after all the mud scenes because it was nasty.
I'm sure that was
Yep.
awful.
Anyway, I'm drinking the good stuff, pure H2O, but to be festive, I am drinking it in my insulated Santa on the beach insulated cup with Santa on a hammock between two palm trees.
And,
Nice.
and it's just straight vodka.
Well, it could be water, it could be vodka. Yep. And you, Becca?
I am drinking, I picked up these lovely cocktails in a can. They are Jameson Orange Spritz, so it's made with Irish whiskey. It's quite yummy. It's just like a lightly orange flavored, vaguely alcoholic drink. It's only 7%, but it's quite nice. It's good flavor. And then I've got some strawberry seltzer water in the fridge if I need it. What about you, Sean?
I'm not allowed to have the alcohols or the devil's nectar at the
That's
moment.
so sad.
So I made, I don't even know what I guess it's a non-alcoholic cocktail because I'm at that age now where
A
Carrot
mocktail.
juice?
I guess. No, God, no. We were talking about
Ugh.
carrots off
Ugh.
podcast and how like I'm basically only allowed to have carrots right now, and it's just I feel like a rabbit.
I actually like carrot
awful.
juice. Sorry. But I don't have to drink it.
Paul, I can't have prune juice. Prune juice is one of the things I can't actually have. I don't dislike
How sad.
prune juice, but I can't have it. Anyway, so what I actually did was I took, I have some like peach syrup that I use for cocktails. I put a little of that in here. I put some lemon juice and then a little bit of like cranberry apple cocktail and then a guava LaCroix in there and some bitters, which are technically alcoholic, but it's not like there's very much in there, so I don't think it really counts. But
That
I
actually
put
sounds quite nice.
Some Peychaud bitters in here to give it some oomph, I guess.
A little teeny kick. But that actually sounds quite good.
I mean, it's not great. It's fine. Like, if you're like, oh, pay $9 for this, I'd be like, no, go fuck yourself. It's not happening. I'm not doing that. But
You can see my cat's back.
it's fine. There is indeed a cat. But there we go. I wish I could do a warrior's drink of prune juice, as Paul is saying in chat, because he's referencing Star Trek. Good job, Paul. Anyway, okay.
Anyways,
So, we did not discuss this, and that's because this show's pure chaos, but someone needs to describe what this movie's about.
Actually, Daniel tapped me for that, so I have
Oh, you are tapped.
mentally prepared myself. Okay, so Sean Connery, retired scientist, is living his best life on a yachting race when suddenly this U.S. Navy ship shows up and tells him, dude, you have to go to a meeting. And he reluctantly agrees. And it turned out the thing that he worked on years ago, which was supposed to save the Earth from meteors and got grabbed by the Department of Defense and turned into a space laser weapon to use against Russia if they made us mad. It turns out there actually is a meteor headed for Earth, and we're going to need to repurpose it back to the original thing, and we need you, Sean Connery, to help us. It also turns out that this platform of nuke weapons that they have is not going to be enough to turn this big bad meteor away, and they're going to have to get Russian cooperation and use Russian missiles too. Of course, General Martin Landau really doesn't like this because Russians are evil and we shouldn't tell them anything about what we're doing. But eventually, after splinters of the meteor kill people in Siberia and in the Swiss Alps, and a tsunami kills a bunch of people, they finally agree to work with the Russians. And the Russians aren't admitting anything about their secret weapons platform, but they agree to work with us hypothetically. So in this hypothetical thing, a Russian scientist gets sent over along with his translator, who is also a Russian scientist, who is Natalie Wood. There's a little, very mild flirting between Sean Connery and Natalie Wood, but luckily they never even kiss, so we don't have to watch that. And what?
No, they do.
They do kiss. He
They
kisses
do
her
kiss.
at the
damn,
end.
I missed that. I must have been cooking or something.
It's when she's like going off, and then they make the note about like maybe she's gonna come back because obviously she can't handle
Perhaps.
being away from the Connery.
Gross.
So
I have opinions about that
Yeah.
whole romance.
So anyway, the Russians hit. At some point, a bigger fragment of the meteor hits Manhattan, but luckily this is after they have pushed the buttons to do the things, and so the missiles hit the meteor anyway, and lots of people die in this movie, but the world is saved, and celebration and
Hooray.
possible future relationship between Sean Connery and Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood.
Terrible.
So that's pretty much it.
Whoa. Well, you be careful right now, Becca.
What?
You be really careful.
About what?
You do not.
The completely
insult.
unnecessary romance subplot that advances none of the plot at all?
But it also doesn't go anywhere, which is why it's not a big deal.
But it's completely unnecessary and doesn't add anything
There
to the story. Except
Or
for
a fair number
Sure
of
it does.
times.
It shows that
sexual
she's a
harassment.
human being.
Mm,
Oh, I'm
doesn't-
sorry.
he has
Let's
a
go
wife
back
and
to the
kids
day
already.
when women are just objects and they just exist. Let's not even have all the
I'm
women
still
in this
pissed.
thing.
No.
we can get into
I'm
this
still
in the
pissed
likes and
that Sean
dislikes.
Connery.
Becca and I are gonna have like a freaking ideological fight over this. It's gonna start.
Let's do this.
It's gonna start Movie Gate 2.0.
Before we have the ideological fighting, I understand that Sean has written a song in celebration
What?
of Meteor and would like to sing it for us all. Sean?
What? When? No, I didn't.
It's in the script.
It's in the script.
I wrote
Sean.
no
You must
such
have
thing.
it.
It's in the script, Sean. You have to do it.
To be clear,
Okay, hold
none
on,
of the
hold
three
on,
of us
hold on.
on this podcast right now writes the script. The script is written by the lovely Daniel
I'm
Hauser.
trying to think of a song that I can sing this to. You all are just trying to get me because I sang all the freaking time on our Cats of Cthulhu episode. This is what this is about. No, I don't. I don't know the
We don't
fucking
have a
lyrics
song?
to Xanadu because I was gonna do Xanadu as Meteor.
Sing.
Meteor. No, we can just move on. We're not doing this
All
singing
right.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
Well,
not
this
we're
is-
happening.
supposed to
I was not
applaud
prepared.
anyway.
Bravo.
Bravo, Sean. Bravo.
Oh, bravo. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-mm.
So now we can talk about likes and dislikes.
Can we?
Well, it's in the script.
Well, I don't know.
All right, fine, I guess. If that's what you really want to do, Trish, it's fine. Sorry. I just feel like torturing everybody.
I'm-
such a bad person. So, with that
Well,
in mind...
you can think about it. You can
Okay.
think about it. You can always hit us with it later.
No. No, we're going to... No, it's your turn. You go first. I always
Oh,
go
is it
last.
mine? I was
Yeah.
talking about the song.
Oh, well, I can prepare a song later. It's fine.
Okay. None of my likes are great. I did note the precious snow rescue doggo that was in the apps, and then also that the guy turned back and got his dog when they were trying to escape from the tsunami by running down the roads instead of getting to the highest point in their building. Anyways, I did like that there were women in the underground bunker where they were prepping to do the Hercules missile launches. So it wasn't just like a room full of men. There were women scientists. One of them was like a computer scientist or mathematician who was like actually really nice. And then I was devastated when they killed her off for no reason. But her partner is like dead-eyed. Oh, God, that was so
It
sad.
was.
His ex-wife's robe that she was wearing when he took the phone call, that looked really comfy. And I did specifically note, if he doesn't want his wife, I'll take her. And then, okay, here's like a genuine like. I did like how they portrayed the scientists as the ones who are like kind of the calm-headed, like, you don't understand if we don't do this. Like, there will not be a world for you to defend with those stupid missiles. So will you please use them for the correct purpose that we initially put them up for? And I really liked the dichotomy between the scientists being the calm, kind of rational ones and the government being like, but power. Because it's relatable,
You think?
unfortunately.
It's
I do. This was like,
relatable
a
movie.
larger commentary at the time because of like USSR tensions, right? So like this is like not a new
In 1979, not a new issue. If anything,
not a new
those
issue.
tensions
And it's
suddenly get very worrisome because there's some nuclear stuff coming in a handful of years.
But I liked how they portrayed it on screen, and I thought they did a really good job of like portraying scientists as like, you don't understand. You must consider the ramifications. Otherwise there will not be anything left for you to, demonstrate over. You can't have a dick measuring contest if there's no dicks to measure.
I mean,
What?
yes, that literally dicks are required for the measuring to occur. So
Exactly. You can't
did
have
notice though,
a planet.
Becca, that a couple of them looked like dicks, the missiles, right?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All of them were exceedingly phallic.
I mean, they're all.
I
all
also
of
really
them,
liked
but-
the point.
Yeah.
I really liked the meta commentary of Russia was like, well, we put ours up first. You weren't the first ones to put yours up in space. But then the additional meta commentary of Russia having 3 missiles that failed while the U.S. only had 2 that failed.
Sometimes the Russians shoot blanks.
So it was just a very interesting dynamic between Russia and the U.S. And I thought it was portrayed really well in this movie. Let's see,
Russians like
what other...
redundancy. That's.
I felt it had somewhat optimistic science. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, obviously we
Are you
have
just
men
through
going to
every
Mars.
like you have?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
pretty much.
just trying to
No,
make
that's
sure
all
that
of them
there's
were
really
nothing left
tiny.
for you or me to talk about, Sean.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that is my last one, though. That is
Okay.
genuinely my last one.
I mean, it is based on an actual
vaguely optimistic
science
science.
project. You know that, right?
Yeah, the Icarus name
the
or
Project
the Icarus thing line that they dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the very
Mhm.
end, it is actually real. It's a student project that done for like a master's or something at MIT. Yeah, which basically argues, oh, well, what could we use missiles to alter the course or destroy an actual asteroid that's relatively near Earth running? So, yeah.
And like theoretically, but yeah, I have no doubt that those would be commandeered for political means.
I mean, we got enough of them frickin' things. We can send them off to blow up asteroids all day.
But no, that's getting into my dislike territory.
Well, Trish, what about you? What's your like?
Yeah, what's your
Well,
like,
I
Trish?
was going to talk about how much I liked that the Russians and Americans eventually ended up working together, but that pretty much Becca took care of. So I will go back to something she touched only
Sorry.
lightly on, which is the refreshing lack or diminution of the expected love interest thing. I was expecting Sean Connery and Natalie Wood to at least, make out hot and heavy. And I'm so glad that didn't happen. And I'm so glad that she was not just a translator, but a scientist too. I don't think any
Yes.
women were forced to fetch coffee for the men in any of the meetings. There just didn't seem to be a lot of sexism in this movie. And given that it was 1979, I would have expected a lot of that. So
I
go
totally
them.
agree.
Whoever was responsible for not forcing them to, mush together like Ken and Barbie or whatever.
What a horrible description.
There was only one moment where I was mad at how Sean Connery treated a woman. Really? And it was because he never gave that NASA secretary woman, he never gave her the $10 right at the beginning of the movie. He never gave her the $10 that he should have given her. She was like, "Oh, I got my whatever up." And he was like, "And you owe me $10." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I do." And then he never fucking gives it to her.
Mhm.
Okay.
Give her the $10,
Maybe
you
that was
coward.
off camera.
Maybe. He is a little preoccupied with Earth-destroying asteroid. Like,
It's fine. They've got 6 days.
only 6 days. I agree
It's
with you, Trish,
fine.
though, that the position of women in this was a real surprise, I think, to all of us when we watched this live on Patreon, because the first woman that's there, our default assumption was, oh, she's like the secretary, right? In the facility. And then she's like, no, I'm like a computer genius and all of this shit. And the man is like her assistant. And I was like, holy shit, what is happening right now? And then like the
Yes.
super smart Russian lady, Natalie Wood's character, right, is a genius. She's like an astrophysicist. And instead of the movie being like, oh, let's just dismiss all these women, Sean Connery's character goes, oh, you're smart. Okay. He just accepts it.
I'll have you check my numbers. Like, oh, wonderful.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, you're totally competent. I definitely am going to rely on you for information I need to know. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
really,
I thought that was a
it's-
really good point as well.
Yeah, that doesn't pass the Bechdel test, I'm pretty sure, because I don't think a woman talks to another woman and talks about something other than a man. But I don't think that's
they do
necessary.
once.
They do?
That computer lady and the translator do talk about she got her like different sheets for the cot so they weren't as bad, and she also got her hand like different soap,
That counts.
but it was 2 sentences. So like
passes the
it kind of counts, but also
It's fine.
Yeah.
so they were talking about like comforts in a military base
Okay.
versus talking about men.
So this might be, weirdly enough, the most feminist movie we've done for. It's just saying a lot. I kind of feel like I'm breaking right now because like we have watched some really atrociously
real
sexist
bangers.
films. This one
Yeah.
is weirdly the least sexist.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I mean, whatever works, right?
Whatever works.
But yeah, they treated women
Yeah.
as, competent scientists, competent technicians. Like, it was quite lovely.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And they weren't the only 2 women in that control room. There was others in the background that just didn't
Yeah.
have any speaking lines.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, it's almost like they got NASA actually correct because there have been a lot of women in NASA.
My aunt used to work for NASA.
Cool.
Oh, did she? Was she part of the
Yeah, she
secret
was an
alien project?
No, she was a statistician.
That
Well, I mean,
didn't-
she could have been. She just couldn't have been able to tell me. But,
There you go. though. Well, I guess it goes to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did
great.
you like about this movie that I didn't already take?
Great, because everybody's taken my favorite things about this movie. Thanks, you jerks. Like I think the thing I like about this movie is the fact that I don't hate it.
I think that's valid.
Because we watched it and I just kind of got to the end and went, I'm not sure this deserved the score it got. Like, is it the greatest film ever? No, it's not a great film. It's fine.
It just felt rather average.
It felt rather average, and I just felt like this didn't deserve to have such a low score on all the places it has low scores on. It isn't that risible. Like, even the criticism I read from Ebert and some of the other film critics were like, this film, it's a special effects disaster. And I'm sitting here going, the special effects aren't great, but it's 1979.
What do you want to do for them? What do you want them to do? They didn't have the technology.
Right, it could have been better. They apparently fired multiple special effects teams,
right.
So the poor team that finally worked on it, worked with the $8 that was left
right.
over. And with that $8, they did a pretty good job.
They did a decent job. They only got the flag backwards once.
Yeah, and they saved money using stock footage of actual Alpine disasters or something, and cardboard buildings for Hong Kong. But it was fine. It was
fine. They could have done the snow effects better. The avalanche could have been done a little better, I think, even with 1979 technology. But it wasn't. They were fine.
That's the thing. It's you get to the end of this, and I'm going, I wouldn't necessarily want to watch it again, but not because I hate the movie. It's just maybe a little dull. But
yeah, it was a bit boring and dragged on
a little bit.
Well, that's
not some of the
something we can talk about in dislikes.
Tommy Knockers. But Tommy Knockers dragged on. That thing was it felt like we were watching that for a fucking week.
I am so glad I didn't have to be here for it.
It was so bad. I mean, it was a very boring movie. Nothing happens for it just felt like forever. Annie was there, I believe, and Annie is still being punished for the fact that her and Daniel both left in the middle to go get alcohol. It didn't tell me, so I made them rewatch 25 minutes of that movie.
You just made yourself suffer. You had to watch an extra 25 minutes.
No, I was like, I need to go get a drink, go to the restroom and stuff. I'll just be back whenever I feel like it. And then I just rewound it. Yeah.
Let me just correct myself.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Annie.
Alpine disaster was not actual footage. It was reused footage from the 1978 disaster film Avalanche. But, well, it was fine.
Yeah, it was it's nothing to write home about, but it also wasn't something that I'm going to keep thinking about how much it ruined my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robin Hood pops up in my head once a week and it's why the fuck did I watch that movie? But this one, I'll just forget about it and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the plot of this movie, I think, makes a lot of sense. There aren't, I wouldn't say there are moments in this where characters do things that don't really make sense. People working in the same place together might socialize and get to know each other a little bit. That's kind of normal. The government, maybe the most unbelievable thing in the movie is that the government announces they have the nuclear weapons program publicly before maybe talking to the Russians first. But even when the Russian scientist shows up and he's all he's obviously speaking Russian through his translator. He's like, well, we don't have any such thing. And then he has to be clever.
But hypothetically.
Hypothetically, theoretically, how many might you have? It's all, I think, very well done in being very just fine. And I think that's a good enough reason to like it. So, I think we can get the dislikes then.
Oh, first, before we get to
Wonderful.
that, Configuration Queen in the chat has been kind enough to write a Meteor theme song for us. So, Sean, duet, or shall I just sally forth with that?
Oh, this is in the Spider-Man theme.
It is.
Okay, here we go. Meteor, Meteor, smashing people to gulp and gore. Scary rock, flies through space. Will the team save the human race? Look out, here comes the meteor.
Yay! Thanks, Configuration Queen.
Why?
The alternative is I sing Nickelback. So yeah, you
I'll
guys
take
want some
this. I'll take
Nickelback?
this one.
No, because as it turns out, the lyrics to "Hero" are kind of fit this movie.
I can just hide forever. Like,
What, you don't want me to sing, Becca? You don't want?
I'm good.
No,
I'm very, very good.
but Becca,
We're set.
I am so high, I can hear heaven.
I wish I'd taken an edible before this.
I am so high, I can hear heaven.
On to dislikes.
Whoa, but heaven.
Dislikes.
On to
You guys
dislikes.
should go first so I don't take your dislikes this time. I've got several. We're fine. You guys should go first.
Well, should we
Okay.
just do reverse
You
snake
really don't
and
want more
start with
Nickelback-
Sean this
Nickelback?
time?
Yeah, let's do that.
Is it me?
Yep.
It's me. Okay. So here's the thing about Meteor that I found a little frustrating,
The thing?
and that is a thing. I have a thing that I found frustrating.
I have several.
There are certain choices they made that I just wish they had not. The biggest one was, why does it take so fucking long for any of the like space related missile scenes to happen? Like when they move the missile platforms, it's like it feels like an hour as they're just rotating
Just road.
with this ominous music, right?
And then they take
except
off
they
with
give-
booster blast so slow.
They're so slow with the fucking American music as the US one flips around. Like, and then the missiles go, and we're just watching these missiles go for fucking ever. And I'm sitting here going, guys, we didn't need this. Like, you could cut this and just focusing on the people
It is
while
so
they're watching
slow.
it go so slow, that would be more interesting. Because the missiles aren't doing anything. They just are in space looking like penises going like in formation, right?
They were incredibly phallic looking.
I don't know why that's you didn't need to pad the runtime. It's like an hour and a half movie.
An hour and 47 minutes.
Right, yeah, so you could have cut 15 minutes of missile dicks flying in space really slowly, and this would have been
They could have cut the entire last half hour.
They could
And
have.
it would have been fine.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the one thing I don't get. If I were like re-editing this, I would just trim those scenes down massively. And this film would have more tension because the fucking platform doing this in space, not building tension, guys. It's doing nothing, right? That's not where the tension is. The tension is the people
terrible.
arguing about this and coming to agreement and dealing with the fact that it's a bunch of freaking Cold War politics and they're trying to like not want to admit to things and all that stuff. That's where the tension is.
Give me more of the Cold War politics and less of the 5, 4, 3,
Oh my God.
2,
No, you're going too fast.
20 minutes watching a rocket rotate in space.
Rocket dicks flying in space. Oh, it's so
Let's watch
obnoxious.
these things get into formation for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just felt like it would have been if you could just trim them, or you could replace them with more interesting scenes with the characters. Like, there's a great scene at the beginning when Sean Connery's brought into this room full of like generals and NASA people, and they're all like arguing, "We can't tell anybody about the missile program." And he just gets up and he's like, "I'll see you all later." And they're like, "Well, aren't you gonna be?" He's like, "No, like this thing's bearing down on us. We have the means to do something about it. There's no point in me sitting in here watching you guys argue and fight with each other when we're facing down in 5.5 days, the extinction of the planet. Like, this is fucking stupid." And then he just goes and gets a drink, which I think that's a great scene. It's a great way to handle that.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Like, I just don't need to watch any more missile dicks flying in space. I'm good.
Yeah, that was
absolutely.
fine. And the little scene where they were, theoretically, if you had missiles, well, okay, theoretically, if we had missiles, that was cute. That was reasonably well done.
Yeah.
And it didn't last forever, unlike the scenes of missiles in space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the missile dicks in space. Yeah, that's just, you might think this is
They
an
really-
advertisement for missile dicks out from Mattel, but it's not. Anyway, Trish, how about you? You got a dislike?
Pacing was definitely the worst thing about the movie, but I'm also a bit baffled that this movie was nominated for Best Sound for an Academy Award. It didn't win, thankfully,
What?
but How did this?
It was even nominated.
Yeah. The single worst sound that kept being repeated over and over was when they took the sound effect from Viger in the original Star Trek movie, the twangy dong, dong.
Did you just make
Yep.
Did you just make Viger French? You just called him Viger.
Yeah.
Anyway, they took that sound effect and played it every time they showed the ominous lumpy masteroid tumbling through space, and I just kept laughing every time I heard it.
How
And that's
was the
not
asteroid?
the desired reaction, I'm sure, from the audience.
But that was another thing that was super slow. The asteroid was so fucking slow.
Right.
It would have taken years for that thing to travel that far in space, not 6 days.
Yes. I guess I really, the science would be another pick for bad things about this movie.
That's mine.
I think Becca's going to
That's
get
mine.
to that. So I'll just say another thing for the sound effects. I'm not sure this is bad, but I was struck by the scenes of the happy Alpen vacationers skiing and stuff with all the happy music, and the happy music kept playing as the meteor fragment hit the snow and started the avalanche that was bearing down on people and burying them, and people trying to ski away from the avalanche. But happy, happy, happy German oompa oompa, it was, oh my.
It was
Yeah, there were some
strange.
choices in the sound design. I saw somewhere, the speculation was that the nomination was for the sounds of city destruction, maybe in Manhattan. Maybe that was good, but
The rest of it was
that was not deserving of an Academy Award.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the like science, because the thing that I realized we have completely ignored, the thing that actually makes this kind of science fiction-y, which is the beginning when they, like, one of the admirals or generals or whatever, like, his son is in space on a Mars mission.
Yeah.
And they, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was my dislike, was the inconsistency of the science. You have men on a manned mission to Mars.
Yeah.
You have at least 3 men going on a manned mission to Mars, and yet you don't have a way to, 1, stop this asteroid already, like while it's that far out, 2, track the splinters of the asteroid. You are sending men to Mars, and you can't track things in your own atmosphere.
Not just Mars. They also send them on a detour to the asteroid belt, which, no, guys, no. Like, that's a bit of a detour.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It's not going to add 2 days to your trip to Mars. It's
No,
gonna
not
add
at all. That's a
fucking
lot
years.
longer.
That is not how it works.
The science was so incredibly inconsistent, and it really bugged me because, like, yeah, sure, your premise is that there's an asteroid coming to hit Earth, and you need to figure out a way to do that with your limited technology, but you somehow have a manned mission to Mars happening at the same time, and you can't figure this out? Excuse me?
Yeah, it's one of those
What is
things
happening?
where maybe they would have been better off not having that sequence, and just had maybe, I mean, I guess you could just do like another moon landing, because those are still happening at this point. Instead,
I think it would have made more sense if instead of it being a general's son, it was somebody related to Sean Connery's character.
oh, his kid. Oh,
If it had more of a personal connection to the main cast, it would have made more sense.
Right.
Like, kind of.
Oh.
But instead, it's just a random general's
Right.
kid.
Or if you
'Cause
had
if it's
later
him-
seen that general fighting Martin Landau, trying to convince him that it was a real problem. But no, they just kind of dropped that guy. I mean, maybe he was heartbroken and went home to die, but
Exactly.
Maybe a problem of too many characters, but you didn't have enough scenes to really give those.
Maybe.
yeah, I mean, all
But again,
those
take
But then
50
you also-
minutes of missile dicks and do that instead.
Yeah, all those 70s disaster movies had casts of thousands so that they could get in as many cameos as possible. But yeah, it was hard to keep track of who anybody was. except, I mean,
Yeah. I honestly couldn't tell you the main character's name.
no, that's why I said Sean Connery was in a sailboat.
I don't know the
His name
character's
is-
name.
Dr. Paul Bradley.
Okay.
That means nothing to me. His name is Sean Connery.
I mean, he is Sean Connery.
But anyways, there was all of that science happening, and then in the NASA hub, they have like a fucking construction paper cutout thing over these blinking lights counting down how many days it is until the asteroid hits Earth, right? And I think if NASA, if you still need someone to make those construction paper cutouts, I would be fabulous at it.
I do wonder if any people went to see this movie expecting to see Sean Connery in space, like in Moonraker, fighting the Meteor himself.
I was half expecting like an alien to be on the Meteor like the whole time.
He just pops out. Please don't destroy me. I am your friend.
There was just one part where they focused really hard on the asteroid on like a little divot in it, and I was like expecting somebody's head to pop up out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so yeah, the inconsistent science was my really big dislike. And then the second one that I also really wanted to talk about was the completely unnecessary scene at the end where so this asteroid splinter has hit New York, hit the Twin Towers, and like cut off their access to the outside because they're in an underground bunker, all fabulous style. And then they're trying to get out of the bunker and they have to go through this whole like half hour let's get through this subway tunnel,
Yeah.
up to a platform. Oh, there's also just straight up mud.
No. That's shit. That's
Straight
like
up,
sewage
yeah.
and mud.
It's gotta be sewage.
It's
just like flooding into these tunnels, and you're like, what was the point of this entire sequence?
It reminded me a lot,
Like,
actually,
why did you
of the Poseidon adventure when it looked like they were
Yeah.
trapped and the water was
Yeah.
rising. Maybe they were trying
And it was
to
like a whole fucking
have
half
that
hour.
effect.
But you didn't need it.
I don't necessarily
It was not
agree.
necessary at all.
Because the whole thing is that whole group of people in that bunker are a real human anchor, because everybody else might as well be a disembodied head, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're just like caricatures of people. They're like miniatures on a set because they're just there to get killed, basically, right? But there
Yeah.
are real connection to what makes the story human, and so having them in peril. Like, I think it's an interesting choice to say there's a splinter that's going to hit here, and they've made the choice of staying in the bunker so they can make sure the missiles go off to save all of humanity.
Yep.
And then it's a question of, do our heroes survive? And it turns out getting an asteroid dropped on top of you is a little bit complicated in a city like New York. So I don't know that I necessarily
I just
agree.
think that's fine. I just think they could have accomplished the same thing with like cave-ins, like a series of cave-ins, instead of fucking mud and shit flooding the sewage, the subway system.
But that's
I didn't
that's
mind
New
Like,
York.
they
that.
could've
I
just
kind of
done
liked
the
seeing the
straight-up
complication
cave-in.
of it. I think that most of my cuts would have been
I did
from
enjoy-
earlier with the long rocket scenes.
I did enjoy seeing the toupee, like the muddy toupee, like slide down his head. There's one character who clearly wears a toupee and it had gotten caught by the mud and just like plastered like an emo bang. And it was quite funny.
Ridiculous. Oh, Lordy almighty. Yeah.
Only half the people skiing had goggles and hats. Did you know that? Did you see that?
I mean, but they're like Swiss, so.
You can still get snow blindness if you're Swiss. That's not.
They don't feel it. Have you ever been to Switzerland? Like, half of the people there
No.
they're genetically predisposed to mountain life. They're basically the mountain goats of nationalities.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. Well, if you can tell by the seriousness in my voice and face that I'm dead serious. And
I can tell
everything
that you're dead sarcastic.
there was not a hint of sarcasm. We're not at all going to get an angry email from someone from Switzerland.
Swiss people genetically predisposed to mountain life.
I made you Google it.
Google says no.
Oh, I mean, it would be kind of cool if it was true, though. Like, it's a divergent evolution that the Swiss are becoming mountain goat people. They're gonna have their own little mountain goat society up there with their Swiss chocolate and their ski ranches.
I can't believe I fucking Googled it.
So IMDb
I
says
yeah.
photography was shut down for 2 days when Sir Sean Connery contracted a respiratory condition during the filming of the mud sequence. The mud also knocked Connery off his feet, buried Carl Malden twice, while Natalie Wood
Jeez.
was almost sucked into one of the pumps.
Oh, Jesus.
So we had people risking their lives to make this movie.
Okay, I take it all back.
Wow.
Instead, I can talk about something else instead. I can talk about how much I fucking hated the General Adlon guy, who was just such a fucking bitch the entire movie. And then I was glad that motherfucker died. I was glad.
I do want to note
He was
that
such a dumbass.
Martin
Part of the
Lando,
reason-
saw the notes, chew the scenery as hard as you can, as loud as you can, and he did it.
Oh, he really did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is, as I said at the beginning of this, simultaneously looks young and old.
It was very weird.
He looks like he's 60, but he can't be. Because then he wouldn't have been alive to do a Hollywood Homicide. I do want to say just a quick thing. Natalie Wood in this actually speaks fluent, or spoke, I don't know if she's still with us, fluent Russian.
Oh my
because
God, no,
her
she died
family
a
are
long time
actually...
ago. It was a whole
I
thing.
don't follow. Yeah. But anyway, regardless, she speaks fluent Russian. Her parents are actually Russian immigrants. And she did work with a bunch of people to perfect a Leningrad Russian accent, I guess, for this.
She drowned.
Oh, well, great. Thanks for putting a dampener on my really interesting factoid, Becca.
Sorry, continue. Yeah, she
Wow.
was Russian.
Okay, well, in any case, that's the wind has left my sails now because Becca's just been like, she drowned. Like, oh.
Oh, I did have another thing that has to do with the inconsistent science.
Okay.
There are so many hobbyists out there.
Huh?
Right? Like astronomy hobbyists. There is no fucking way that we have people now who track the SpaceX satellites, and you would there's no fucking way that people don't know about Hercules and something the Great.
Peter the Great, which was
People would
a name that
people
Soviet
would definitely
Russia
have caught those.
would never, ever, ever, ever have named their Soviet missile platform. They just wouldn't.
Not
Yeah.
at all.
Not a chance.
People would
They renamed
absolutely
St.
have seen, oh,
Petersburg
there's a
to
weird...
Leningrad or whatever. So no, wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
No, they.
I absolutely think that hobbyists would have figured out, oh, there's something new in the sky, wonder what it fucking is. People would know. There are so many hobbyists out there with high quality equipment
It's
who track
1979.
satellites.
It's 1979.
Still.
It's an alternate
know. I don't know.
1979 where
Still.
we had a Mars mission.
Yeah.
Such inconsistent science.
I don't know. Out of curiosity, Trish, what do you think the Russians would name a space missile platform?
The Russians or the
Igor?
Soviets? I mean,
Well,
if it were now, they would
we'll
call
say the
it
Russians now.
the Putin,
Mhm.
the Putin project or something like that.
They call. Oh, okay. They probably call it the Botanica Gardens.
I would like to leave.
You don't like the Botanica Gardens?
No.
Oh.
It sounds like a terrible candle scent.
Yes, it's out from Bed Bath & Body Works. 5 for $15. What would the smell
That's a good
be?
deal.
Is it like what is it like
What
hot
would the
dogs
smell
and like
be?
lemongrass or something?
No, it would be whatever it would be whatever the elephant foot in Chernobyl smells like.
Oh, ew. Ugh.
It would smell like radiation and death.
Oh my god.
Anyways, moving on.
I guess we should just add some emotions in there. Blind hatred and regret.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh
Oh my
man.
lord. Well, okay. I
Even
think-
IMDb agrees with me that the science is inconsistent.
Well,
of course
speaking
it's
of
inconsistent.
The meteorite is headed for Earth at about 35,000 miles an hour, and it will hit Earth in a week. Wrong. At 35,000 miles an hour, an object would take at least 6 months to travel from the asteroid belt to Earth orbit.
Speaking of amateur astronomers, that was one of the things that I really liked about the 1998 Meteor-ish movie called Deep Impact, which is my favorite Meteor movie. If you know, one of the characters in the movie is a kid astronomy hobbyist who sees something and you know takes a shot of it or whatever and sends it to an astronomy professor, and it turns out that he's right, and kid hobby astronomer uh, got the warning to people earlier because he happened to look at this slice of the sky that nobody else was studying at the
Well,
moment.
that's cool.
And so
Yeah.
I have never seen the movie.
it's really
but that sounds
quite
cool.
really
good.
good.
It's way better
I
than
was
Armageddon, which came out around the same time, and sadly, that one got all
Yeah.
the people in theaters, and Deep Impact did not. But I really like Deep Impact.
I think Deep Impact is more serious of a film.
Yes.
It takes its premise more seriously in a way that Armageddon is
Mm-hmm.
much less. It's much more like I think like Deep Impact is more logos than pathos. If I'm just borrowing my rhetorical principle terms, like let's go with our triangle.
Pathos is emotional, logos is scientific.
Reason
In the way that you're speaking of it. Reason, yeah.
Deep Impact is much more reason oriented, whereas Armageddon is just like straight pathos with like almost no reason.
Emotional
really
calls to
applied.
action. And, yeah.
Tons and tons of it. It's all about family and people and what they bring to the table. And like Deep Impact, anytime it brings family into it, it is completely tempered by the reality of the scientific problem that's being sorted. Like even the journalist in Deep Impact is a brilliant character, because it's through her actions of trying to uncover a story that she comes to realize the government actually knows what's happening,
Right.
and have begun building in secret a response in order to prevent people from panicking,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which this
That
film,
sounds
Meteor,
incredibly
doesn't
realistic.
Meteor doesn't really deal with the panic.
Mhm.
It almost is largely absent. And I think Deep Impact deals with that very intelligently by pointing out, like, you actually would have, if you knew that this was an extinction level event, LAELE,
Right.
by the way, a reference to the movie, you would hide it, because you have to maintain order as long as possible so that you can make sure that you can save something of humanity. And at that point, you know you can't save everybody, so millions are going to die. And I bring this up because it makes me think of 2012, which has the same fundamental premise at its basis, which is how do we save some of humanity, but gets all the wrong lessons and fills us with a story of very horrible, awful people that don't deserve to live. We've covered 2012 on this, and that is one of my biggest hatreds of that film is, other than the children, I don't actually want almost any of the humans shown to us to live. Except the Chinese. There's some Chinese people who are really nice and cool, but they're like in it for 13 seconds. Because like all the people that are in charge of the ships are giant fucking assholes, right? Or they have...
That sounds about right.
They have abandoned all of their ethical principles for that. The big arc ships in that basically go to the wealthy. The wealthy buy their way onto these ships, and all the poor, including the people who built the ships, are basically left to, like, you just die. And they're all fine with this. And that, to me, I think misses... It just makes it so, like, what's the point in saving humanity if this is what we're saving? Like, one of the characters literally says this in 2012, which I'm glad he finally says it at the end of the fucking movie, but I think Deep Impact deals with it better. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was a big ramble about how much I like Deep Impact. Sorry.
Well, I brought
Trish,
it
you're
up,
correct.
so I
It is a
guess
great
it's my
movie.
fault.
It's a good one. Should we do final thoughts?
Hey, it wasn't
and
my
grades?
fault for once. Woo!
Yeah, well, everything's your fault, Becca.
Hey,
Becca?
I was gonna say, hey, we're still under an hour,
Well,
but okay.
we're probably not gonna be. So, Becca, what is your final thought and grade for this movie?
I think it's like a B. Like,
Really? That's
it's
pretty
fine. Like I'll give it like a B minus.
high. B-. Okay.
Because like I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, and I'll forget I ever watched it in about a week.
Okay.
So like it's just B.
B
I can't give it
minus.
a C because like it wasn't bad enough for a C. Like, it was fine.
Okay.
Like, it was fine. I'll just never watch it again, and I'll forget I ever watched it, and then nobody will ever bring it up because it's a movie from fucking 1979. So it'll have no bearing on my life. It was fine.
That is the name of the episode. It was fine.
It was fine.
Well, what about you,
That's
Trish?
my thoughts.
I think I'll give it a C plus.
Hmm.
Maybe it deserves a C, but it really wasn't as bad as it should have been, given the multiple script rewrites, the firing of 2 successive special effects teams, the multiple cast changes. People kept swapping in and out of who was going to be the lead actor, let alone, some of the other actors that got shifted around. So it really has, it's better than it has any right to be. Now, that doesn't fix the pacing problems, the sound effects, and the bad science. But it also wasn't sexist. So yeah, I can live with the C plus for this.
Yeah,
there you go.
I would agree very much with Trish. I will also give it a C plus. You make a great point, Trish, that it is much better than it has any right to be. In fact, it should be a disaster of a film, and yet it's not.
Yes.
Which is kind of impressive. I mean, you mentioned like casting changes. Like Donald Pleasance was actually Dr. Dubov, the Soviet scientist, and then like filmed a couple scenes, disappeared, and then they got this other guy. So like there's all that chaos in this. So in every way, it
Burt
should
Reynolds was originally the lead. Somebody like that.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh no, I can't see Burt Reynolds. Like no.
The mustache.
The mustache. Yeah. Well, that's more like a Tom Selleck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's got the stash. My grandmother had the hots for him. He came to my hometown once, and she said she saw him, and
I don't think I needed to know that.
yeah, she might have admired him from afar, and had some fantasies. So
he could have been your granddad.
Well, no, because I'm biologically not related to my grandparents. Because
never mind.
Both
adopted granddad.
Both my father and mother were adopted, so I am not related to pretty much anybody who is broadly considered to be my current family. So
well,
biologically,
never mind then.
Socially, obviously, yeah. Anyway, okay, moving on. C plus. It's a perfectly fine movie. I don't know. I might watch it again one day, maybe, but I'm not going to go out of my way. It was fine. I kind of like parts of it. There's some neat parts. So there you go. That's it. That's all I got.
The banter between John Connery and the Russian scientist was quite good.
Yeah, that was cool. I like those bits. Those bits are fun.
Yeah, they had a good
rapport.
Thank you. Yes, that word.
Or as Trish pointed out to us earlier, we can Frenchify things even more. So rapport.
Rapport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. This is the new French version of the first Star Trek movie.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I just...
His name is Viger.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Trish. I just found that very adorable, and it's stuck in my head.
And he'll never let it go.
Never. No. All right, folks. Well, that is a podcast. So, again, if you have thoughts about the movie and you've not shared them live with us, you are free to go to skiffingfanty.com/listener suggestions or skiffingfanty@gmail.com. Leave your thoughts, comments. You can also suggest movies, themes for polls, all of that kind of stuff. Our next poll, which will be for the May episode, I believe is Cold War themed films, which is curious because we have done quite a number of Cold War themed movies. So that poll will be coming up on the Patreon for next week. So Paul in chat, you will be actually getting the movie list from me very soon. Please follow the Skiffy and Fanty show and all the places it exists. We're basically Skiffy and Fanty on every social network you can imagine. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/Skiffy and Fanty. We have a newsletter as well, and all that we can be found on our link tree, which is linktr.ee/Skiffy and Fanty. So you can find links to all of our social channels. We're especially popular on Blue Sky, Threads, a little bit of Instagram, and Mastodon, but we are a bunch of other places too.
Wow.
And then please Tell people about this show for the love of all that is sacred in the universe.
Don't make our efforts watching terrible movies go to waste.
Right, we're spending so much time at this. Becca's making
We're
a
doing
great
this
point.
so you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, except some of you should join the Patreon so you can come to the live shows where we watch the movie together, which it's kind of fun. But
And
anyway,
let me subject you to more movies like Robin Hood 2018.
so there are a handful of things you can do to support the show. You can go to Patreon. If money is not a thing you can do, that's fine. You can go to any of the podcatchers, iTunes, Castbox, whatever, any place that allows you to leave a comment, rate a show, whatever. Give us a rating, please. And then please tell your friends. If there's an episode of ours you like, share the link with people. Put it on your socials. Tell people. Help us find new brain holes to reach, because it's really hard, and I'm broke and have no money, so I can't pay for an advertising campaign.
Hard same.
Yeah. Thank you for the boost, Configuration Queen, in chat.
Thank you for the boost.
So for me, I'm at SeanDuke.net. I'm here on Alphabet Streams for all the live stuff. I stream myself Tuesdays, Thursdays, 7 p.m. Central. And then, obviously, we do Skiffy and Fanty every Friday at 6:30 p.m. And so you can come to that. Please do. Anytime.
6:30 Central Time.
Central Time, correct, yeah. And then I'm on a link tree as well, which is just /SeanDuke. You can find me lots of places. I'm going to shut up now and leave it to the next person on the script, which is Trish.
You can find me on Blue Sky at P.E. Matson, on Mastodon, newsy.social at TrishEM, and on my blog at whatsthewordnow.blogspot.com.
And you can find me at Dicey Druid on Twitch. I'll be streaming more of the Stardew 1.6 update tomorrow. So you can come hang out with me on my farm. And when I'm not streaming over on Dicey Druid, I'm usually hanging out on the couch with my cat, plotting world domination.
Perfect. As is required by the Skiffy Fanny bylaws, I got to make this awkward. And by making it awkward, I'm going to make it awkward specifically for Becca. And so this is for you, Becca. Okay? This is just for you.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah, sure. Hit me.
And they say that a hero could save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. I'll hold on to the wings of an eagle. Watch as we all fly away. And I would do the bit where he does a run and he goes really high up and he's like, ah! But I can't really do that. So just imagine me doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
That song's actually good.
Thanks
you
for
should
that.
Shut up. It's a good song. I like that song. It's perfectly fine.
I haven't heard it in a really long time because I use Spotify and
pull it up.
listen to 3 songs at a
Listen to
time.
it. It's kind of a good song. Anyway,
God.
Okay, folks. And on that note, the podcast is now concluding. So awkward ending and scene.
Come on, take care of yourselves and each other.
And fuck the Dodgers.
Is that your thing now?
It's in there. It's in the script.
Is that what? Do you actually not like the Dodgers?
I have no opinions on baseball except that I really like Banana
It's
Ball.
a line from the movie.
It is a line from
they're
the
all
movie.
doing toasts in the bar, and Dr. Dubrov, or whatever his name is, someone tells him to say this as a toast. He has picked it up. His one English phrase that he has picked up is "fuck the Dodgers," and so he toasts
the Dodgers.
"fuck the Dodgers."
That's why they give him a baseball bat at the
Right.
end that's signed by all the Dodgers.
Oh, that's right.
Because his toast is "fuck the Dodgers."
I completely forgot that.
But
That's
yeah,
a
no, I like
wonderful
Banana Ball, which is
detail.
like the entertainment equivalent of baseball, where they do cool dances and stunts and stuff. One of the pitchers plays on stilts. It's really fun. Look into it. Banana Ball's really fun.
How do I change my score? Because that's a great detail, but I won't. Anyway. Awkward ending and scene. Now we're done. We're
And
done.
scene. Bye.
If you want to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/skiffyandfanty or skiffyandfanty.com, our website, where you can get access to all of our fancy things. Our music comes from Holy Mole. You can support him and his work at patreon.com/holymole. Thank you for listening.